Going to that same stack of exhibits, Exhibits 3, that's an October 5, 1994 letter that you wrote to a judge in Sonoma County. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And at that time, Brian was reporting back to you things that his father said about the house?
Things that Brian said about him wanting to give up his half interest. Brian did not want to give up his half interest.
And Alan Marshall was saying he wanted the entire house, wasn't he?
Objection.
That's what the information you were getting through Brian.
The information was that Brian doesn't want to give up half interest in his house.
That's what Brian told you.
Yes.
Is that accurate? But you learned from Brian, his father wanted the whole house, the entire house, correct? I'm asking for your recollection as you sit here today.
Say that again?
I need to know what your recollection is as you sit here today, not what the letter says, but your recollection as you sit here today.
I really don't remember whether it was that Brian wanted, that his father wanted the whole house. All I know is that Brian's half interest was in jeopardy.
Back in 1994.
Yes.
Go to the first exhibit. It's a November 9, 1992 letter.
Yes.
Now, you testified earlier that this was a letter that you did in the course and scope of your duties as trustee.
Yes.
Now, that wouldn't be accurate, would it? Because in 1992, you weren't trustee, were you?
No, he wasn't yet 18.
So that letter wasn't done with relationship to you being trustee, would it?
No. Louise Bales, my fight master, and Earl Phoenix was the conservator at that time.
And you said that the trust was confirmed. The trust is a private document that you had Mr. Cohen draft up, correct?
Yes.
And it never went to court to be confirmed, did it?
Yes, it did.
In Florida.
Yes.
You have paperwork in your file showing that there was a confirmation of that trust in Florida?
Well, there was a trust agreement that I had sent to the lawyer. It's not here. I have it at home.
The trust agreement's in the other stack of papers, if you look about 2/3 of the way down.
Which stack?
The second stack, Exhibit M. And my question is, did you ever appear in court in Florida to ask the judge to review that agreement?
I personally never went to any court in Florida. It was all done in Jerry Cohen's office.
And you didn't have to appear in court or file anything in court to set up that trust, did you?
Jerry Cohen set it up in court, through the courts. He worked with Louise Bales, fight master. He worked with her and Earl Phoenix. I did not personally go to court. I was only in Jerry Cohen's law office.
And anything other than being in Jerry Cohen's law office would be something somebody told you happened.
Told me what?
That the trust appeared in court.
Jerry Cohen assured me that this trust went through the courts. It was documented legally. Yeah, that's it.
And that's where you got your information, was what someone else told you.
Jerry Cohen was the lawyer, and he told me that it's in the court. It's documented in the trust agreement, wherever that is.
Why did you resign as trustee?
Well, Brian wanted to spend more of his money that I felt was unnecessary, and I was trying to protect his money. and it was hard for me to handle him because he was quite insistent on what he wanted to do with his money. And so Alan Hames agreed to be the trustee at the time.
And then after Alan Hames, who was the trustee?
Jerry Cohn.
When was Mr. Cohen trustee?
I don't recall the date.
So you and Brian started to see differently as to what should be done with the trust money, correct?
We didn't see differently. I was trying to protect his interest in the money. I didn't want him to spend all that money.
And he wanted to spend it.
He wanted various things, and he was spending it, and I didn't want to have him spend it. He needed a budget.
And that became a source of contention between you and Brian, is how to spend the money.
More or less.
And then did you do anything formal to transfer the trust from yourself to your husband, or I guess it'd be your ex-husband? Alan Hames is your ex-husband?
Yes.
During the time any of this was going on, starting 91, 92, you were already separated and living apart from Alan?
Yes.
And did you ever talk with Alan about what was going on?
We corresponded, and he agreed to be the trustee. He agreed to take it over.
And did you do anything formal to accomplish that?
We went through Jerry Cohn. Alan Hames got in touch with Jerry Cohn and set up a new trusteeship. That's the
Alan
way.
Marshall. And how long was Alan Marshall trustee?
Alan Marshall was never trustee. Alan Hames.
Excuse me. How long was Alan Hames, your ex-husband, trustee?
Several years. I don't remember how long.
And then did you discuss either with Brian or Alan Hames why Alan Hames resigned as trustee?
No.
That you're aware of, has Brian Marshall himself ever paid any of the taxes on 15503 Old Cazadero Highway from 1992 to the present?
My recollection is that Earl Phoenix paid some of the mortgage fees out of Brian's money. When Earl Phoenix was conservator, he paid some of the mortgage payments and taxes for Brian.
That would be secondhand knowledge, correct? You don't know that personally.
I know it from correspondence from Earl Phoenix.
That you're aware of, did Brian Marshall himself ever pay any of the taxes on the property?
I believe he did. He told me he did.
When?
During that time frame. I don't remember the dates.
What time frame?
I don't remember.
And what did Brian Marshall say about paying taxes?
He said he couldn't pay the taxes. He didn't want to pay it out of his money, that his father should pay it.
For the record, the video's been cut off.
Can you still hear us, though?
When the link was cut off, that Brian did not want to pay the taxes or the mortgage. Can you finish your response for us?
As far as I remember, I don't think he paid the mortgage. I don't know whether he intentionally didn't do it or whether he couldn't get the money from the trustee at the time. If it was the time frame that Alan Hames was his trustee.
To your knowledge, you are unaware of Brian Marshall at any time paying any of the mortgage payments or any of the tax payments on the property. Is that accurate, of your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I don't really know.
Okay. And during the time that you were trustee, you as trustee never paid any of the tax payments nor any of the mortgage payments, did you?
No.
Looking at the large stack of documents, starting with Exhibit A, the top one, it is a form that at the top says affidavit hyphen death of joint tenant.
Affidavit B I got. I don't know where that is.
Down at the bottom, it should say Exhibit A, document 100001. It is a county form type document, has a county seal up at the top.
Maybe I mixed it up. What were the numbers again?
In the middle, bottom, it says Exhibit A. On the bottom right corner, 100,001.
These are all 200s. 100,104. It's Exhibit B.
It
I don't,
should be a document that goes on top of that. I see some over here to your left up in front. Are those,
these?
yes, are those, is it in there?
This is, one oh oh one oh four. It's still Exhibit B. I don't have it. I don't see it, I'm sorry.
Were you aware that in September of 1990, shortly after your daughter passed away, that Alan Marshall filed an affidavit of death of joint tenant, which claims he's the sole owner of the property?
No,
You did mention during the time the property was in foreclosure that you had no allegiance to the property. What did you mean by that?
it means that I didn't own it just because my name was on the deed. I had no connection to it other
And
than,
had no obligation to pay?
Wait, can you allow the witness to answer the question and complete her answer?
I believe she had.
I had no,
This may be the 12th time you've cut her off.
That's
Please
inaccurate.
complete your answer, ma'am.
I did not own
If
the,
we had anything more to say,
You've interrupted her again.
I did not own the property, therefore I felt no obligation to pay any taxes or mortgage, since my name was only on the deed because I was the trustee.
looking at Exhibit B, you mentioned you did have Exhibit B.
Yeah,
That is a March 2nd, 1993 letter from Louise Vale Fightmaster
yes,
to Alan Marshall.
yes.
Prior to today's deposition, had you seen that letter?
No.
Look at the second paragraph, which says, Brian expresses a sincere desire to give up any interest in the Cazadero properties. See that?
Yes, I see it.
Do you have a recollection that in, or about March of 1993, there were discussions to that effect about quitclaiming over any potential interest to Alan Marshall?
No, I did not. He wasn't 18 at the time.
The next would be Exhibit C.
Exhibit C.
It's a set of documents that are kind of very dark colored.
Well, this is dark.
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
You see, it's 100134.
yes.
Do you know what that document is?
No,
Did you ever see it before?
no.
Were you aware that in 1986, the Sonoma County Superior Court entered an order against your daughter that she had to return the child to Sonoma County?
Yes, she took her son to Florida.
She left California and took her son to Florida,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
And you became aware that an order was entered in California that she had to return with her son to California, or at least return her son to California.
yes.
How long was she in Florida?
Not long, maybe a year or so, I don't remember.
Did she live with you?
No,
If you'll turn through those dark colored pages, you'll come to Exhibit D.
this is Exhibit B. You say B?
D.
D?
D.
There's no
Yes.
D, there's a B, and then there's no more dark pages.
Well, yeah, after the dark pages, there should be a blank page, and then the next one would be an August 1993 document up on the top.
100185?
Correct.
Yes,
Now, during the time that the guardianship and conservatorship were going on for Brian Marshall, were you receiving court documents that were being sent to you by Louise Bale Fightmaster?
yes,
And does this appear to be the type of documents that you had received from her?
yes,
In fact, this a copy of one of the documents you provided to the attorneys, Ted Smith, back when all this got started.
I don't remember if I sent this to him or not. I sent him whatever I had.
Looking at the fourth page of that exhibit,
Say again?
look at the fourth page of that exhibit.
Yes,
Up near the top, it talks about, there's a paragraph F,
yes,
a 50% interest in 14403 Old Cazadero Highway.
right.
You know what property that's referring to?
The house that's
Objective,
in
calls for
question.
speculation, lacks foundation.
Now, previously,
I'm sorry, did you get her answer?
you testified that the house was 15503 Old Cazadero Highway. Do you recall that?
I only told you what was on the thing. I don't remember the address.
So when you testified earlier that you believed the estate owned an interest in 15503 Old Cazadero Highway, that's not something you know, that was something you just saw on a piece of paper.
That's correct.
If you go to Exhibit E, just continue to go through the document, you'll see a blank page and then Exhibit E.
Yes,
That starts with page 100,202
yes,
and goes through 206.
yes,
And on page 206, it has your name and an address. Was that your address back in November of 1994?
yes,
Do you recall receiving this
yes,
document?
yes,
If you look at page 100,204,
yeah.
E there talks about real property located at 15505 Willow Road. Do you know what property that's referring to?
1 of the addresses is the house, and the 1400, I don't know. Maybe it's a typographical error, or that there was another property that he owned. I think there were
You don't know.
two properties that were owned at that
You don't
time.
know- You don't know what the properties were, the addresses were?
I don't remember the addresses. But if one is different than the other, then there are two properties. Real property is 15505 Willow Road. Would that be the house?
I'm asking you whether you know whether or not that's the house or not.
I believe that's the house.
If you go through the documents again, you'll see a blank page and then Exhibit F.
Yes,
Okay. And that again is some pages that are kind of poor copies.
yes,
Okay. If you go to, and it starts with page 100,214,
yes,
if you look at page 100,216, you will see a signature at the bottom. Does that appear to be your daughter's signature?
yes,
And if you go to page 100,218,
yes,
down on the bottom right-hand corner, you're familiar with your daughter's signature?
yes,
And that appears to be your daughter's signature there?
yes,
And looking at page 217, 218, 219, $100,220. Those all appear to be a loan application, and your daughter's signature appears on page 100,218.
No, I'm gonna object, and also calls for speculation, class foundation.
You want me to answer?
Please.
Yes, that's her signature.
And pages 100,217 through 100,220 appear to be a loan application.
As far as I can see, it's hard to read.
Okay, up on page 100,217, can you read what property address it applies to?
This one is 15503, I don't know, Willow Lane?
Guerneville, Sonoma, California.
Yes,
And then down, a couple lines down, it says title will be held in names L. Allen Marshall and Denise Hames.
yes.
You see that?
Co-borrower, yes. 15503 Willow Lane, okay.
See where on the side where it says subject property?
Yes,
See L. Allen Marshall and Denise Hames? See their names typed in there?
yes.
And then to the right of that, what does it say?
Borrower and co-borrower? Is that what you
No,
mean?
just above that, right
Above,
next to,
The document speaks for itself. This is a little bit of a waste of time.
I need a
Particularly
magnifying
since it didn't have
glass, I
anything to
can't
do-
read it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
okay, can you look up, see where it says equity? It's up in the first box.
Where on the page?
See where it says borrower and co-borrower in black?
Yeah,
The
okay,
Black bar going across there?
all right, yes,
Okay, just go up above that a little bit, and on the left-hand side, you'll see L. Allen Marshall and Denise Hames.
yes.
And what does it say right to the right of that?
Her age?
It says joint tenants. You've got to go up just a little bit higher. You're down about an inch low.
Joint tenants, okay,
And that's on page 100,217.
yes,
And then a true and correct copy of your daughter's signature appears on 100,218, correct?
yes, yes.
Give you support recorder master, mark that entire set as Exhibit F, attach it to your transcript. I'm gonna go, now flip through those until you come to a blank page. And then you'll come to 100,224.
Yes,
I'm gonna have the core recorder here marked as Exhibit G. Can you look at that document? And there's a signature above a typewritten named Denise Hames.
yes.
Do you recognize that signature?
It doesn't look like her other signatures.
Do you recognize